Hello, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jose, and right now you're on Chessmania. If this is your first time in my show, I welcome you all. And now, if you can see on the screen, don't forget to click like and to subscribe to my show. Every time I'm gonna go live, you will see a notification where it will let you know every time I'm gonna go in the next broadcast. Now, if you'd like to support this channel, you will see a QR code at the bottom right corner of the screen. You can scan the QR code, and if you would like to support us, I would really appreciate. Now, on the center of the screen, you'll see a QR code for my podcast. You're welcome to listen to that. It had nothing to do with chess though, but you're welcome to listen to my stories. And if you like to advertise with Chessmania, I have an email on the screen with a phone number if you like to contact us, so we can get into the details if you really would like to advertise with us. Also, we have a merchandise page online. So, for example, you see on the screen a Chessmania t-shirt. You're welcome to scan the QR code. It will take you to a Sassel store where you can do the purchase, and it will be shipped all delivered anywhere in the world. So you will see several options for you to purchase. Okay, so feel free to visit our stores online. Now today, our invited guest, she was born in Budapest, Hungary. At the age of 4, she won the Under 11 Chess Championship of Budapest with a perfect score. At the age of 12, she won the Under 16 1981 FIDE World Youth Chess Festival. In 1984, she attained the international master title. In 1988 and 1990, she led the Hungarian team, women's team, to the gold medal in Greece and Yugoslavia, respectively. In 1991, she earned the Grandmaster title. In 1992, she won the Women's Candidate Tournament in China. 1994, she led the Hungarian team to a silver medal in Moscow. In 1995, she defeated Maya Chiburdanidze to earn the right to play Hangzhou for the World Championship, which she eventually won with a score of 6 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses. In 1997, her autobiography, Queen of the King's Game, was published. She came back leading the U.S. team to the silver medal in the 2004 Chess Olympiad. She extended her record of 56 consecutive games without a loss in Chess Olympiad. She's a wife, mother, chess promoter, author, and director of Susan POLGAR Institute for Chess Excellence. Her latest book, Rebel Queen, is out. Please let's welcome Susan POLGAR. Susan, welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to join you.
Susan, thank you for accepting our invitation to be in our show. I really appreciate that. Your book, let's start with your book. Rebel Queen is a very interesting title for a book. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes, of course. Basically, the title reflects my life. How when I was just 4 years old and I discovered that chess is such a male-dominated field, and that there was a lot of animosity, difficulties, eventually unfairness that I had to deal with, and I had to become unwantingly a rebel to fight all that with the chess authorities.
Okay, do you like that title of yourself, a rebel person? Is that something that you openly accept?
Yes, actually it was my suggestion to have this title because I think it fairly reflects my life, even though I wish everything would have been a smooth ride, but it wasn't. And actually the book aims to inspire and encourage others, women in male-dominated fields, or any person really that is being discouraged, being pushed down, that don't give up. You know, if you have a passion for something, work hard at it, fight, and eventually you will succeed.
Right. Okay. Well, that seems a very appropriate title for the book. Now it seems that the book is more than just chess. It's more like a leadership type of book.
Yes, indeed. It practically has no chess in it. It's written for the mainstream audience, for people who know nothing about chess or are just a very casual player. Of course, it certainly would be interesting, I think, for the chess community itself, because I share a lot of never before shared stories from my life and meeting with legends of chess, from Mikhail Tal to Bobby Fischer and so on, through how my parents had a very unique educational methods, and how the POLGAR sisters came about.
Right. Okay, so your initial books, if I'm not mistaken, they're all related to chess. Are you trying to morph into a more distinctive path into your author life?
Maybe, we'll see. Indeed, I wrote over a dozen books prior to this one, but those were all technical chess books, basically, mostly. Yeah, this is the first one that is aimed for the mainstream audience, for the non-chess player as well.
Right.
I have a couple other ideas actually on topics that to write about that is not necessarily just for the chess community. We'll see. This took me over 3 years, so it's a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of research. It's very, very different. Obviously, it's not necessarily my expertise as much as a chess technical book, but it's very rewarding at the same time, because I think it makes me grow as a person as well. It makes me explore my own history, and I think it's so important to share my legacy with future generations, and more importantly, to inspire others based on my life story.
Right. Oh yeah, it seems like a very noble enterprise, and I give you kudos for that. And basically, I was going to ask you, you mentioned that you took 3 years. Is that something that you actually you sit down in front of a computer, start typing in, or do you need help from other people for that?
Well, both. Of course, I had very good editors who helped me shape the book to what it became.
Right.
But, doing the research and interviewing people like my parents and others, it just takes a lot of time. Obviously, it's not like a full-time 3 years.
Right.
But it has been on my mind, obviously, most of the 3 years, and even prior to that, to be honest. And yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm quite pleased with the end result, the final product.
How do people who will find your book? Can you go to any like Borders or Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and they will find it?
Generally, it's available everywhere where books are sold. Of course, Amazon is the most popular one, but it's really available everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. All right, good. I basically give you kudos for that, and hopefully it will sell a lot, so you can continue with your, expressing in books. Now, let's go to your career per se as a chess player. And well, you have a chess career, but you also have other interests. But let's start with your chess career. What is your early chess memory that you remember?
Well, obviously, when I discovered the chess pieces at home, and I was looking for a new toy, new activity, something to do, and I randomly found a chessboard, and it was one of those folding ones in the middle, and the chess pieces fell out with a bang, and I asked my mom what it was, and she says, well, these are chess pieces, chess set, and she did not play at all, so she said, you'll have to wait until Dad comes home, and then he can teach you how to play with it. So that's kind of the very earliest memory, followed by the early chess lessons with my dad.
Okay, so your dad was taught you how to move the pieces and all of that. At the beginning, in my introduction, I mentioned that at the age of 4 you won. So, what do you remember? About 3 years old to chess?
Well, I was almost 4 when I discovered the chess
Okay.
pieces, and then about I don't know 6 8 months later was that very championship that you mentioned in your introduction, and of course that was a big sensation in the chess community and even outside in the mainstream media in Hungary. Because obviously I was so young, and in the championship I played, the other girls were double or even almost triple my age,
Uh,
and not only won but winning all my games. So that was like a big splash and kind of a sign that maybe this is something I should pursue more seriously.
that's impressive. I can only imagine, the disturb that your winning or your performance came about, especially Hungary. Hungary, correct me if I'm wrong, but Hungary is not a weak chess-related country. I mean, as far as I know, it's been a long history of chess players in Hungary. So, how was the environment in Hungary when you and your sister came about? How do they treated you? Did they saw you as a freak? Oh my God, look at those people! Or how do they come out?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mentioned a lot of these things in more detail, of course, in the book.
Oh,
But for example, when my father realized that, I may have a potential in this, and he
right,
went to the federation when I was just 4 years old, he was advised that, oh, don't do this to your daughter. She's far too young. Come back in a year or two. So actually we faced a lot of discouragement, a lot of negativity actually
right,
when I was very young, and for quite some time, because from early on we had the vision that my father wanted to give me the opportunity to
right,
try to be as good as I can be without any limitation to playing women only. And of course most chess players in those days were men, as
right,
they are today, even if to a lesser degree.
right,
But because of that approach, that I wanted to play against the best, I wanted to play against men, even as a 4 or 5 year old. I got a lot of rejection, a lot of
pushback.
roadblocks, a lot of punishment, really.
Oh,
Even later on, when I was pretty good already, after winning my first world title, as you mentioned, at the age of 12, they have revoked my passport, for example, for several years, not allowing me to travel, because of this very issue that I wanted to play in open competitions, and they wanted me to play mostly, if not exclusively, against women.
right,
And so that was a big reason for the fights. And in the meantime, even when I became #1 female player in the world at age of 15, FIDE and the Soviets and the Hungarians joining them, the Hungarian Federation, they were saying, oh, it's easy to gain points against men, you shouldn't
right.
be listed, in the female list. So there was a lot of drama, and hence, again, the title of my book, The Rebel Queen, because I didn't give up, I didn't give in, and I kept fighting for what I believe was right.
Oh, my goodness, Susan, let me give you my admiration. Okay, I'm going
Thank
to
you.
ask you something. What drove you? Did they come from inside you? Do you have inspiration from, let's say, your dad, or you have idols that you want to emulate? What drove you to pursue this relentless, wanted to be something in the world? Sometimes it's astounding me, that you have that drive.
Well, certainly it's thanks to the education of my parents
Right.
and their beliefs. Obviously, even as a 3, 4, 5 year old, I kept hearing it, you know. But I think also, me personally, I have a very strong sense for fairness.
Right.
And you know, when people were telling me that boys are smarter, why? Why
Ah,
should
okay.
I have that? And I couldn't believe, honestly, even when I was, say, 11, 12 years old, I remember. And I was talking to some of the other top female players in Hungary. And when they told me that they didn't believe that women are capable of becoming IMs or GMs,
Right.
I said, I have to prove this, you know, and that's when kind of it became really a mission that I want to show it to women
Right.
as well as to everybody else that don't undersell ourselves. And just because up to that point there were no women who ever became a GM, it doesn't mean it's not possible. And I really set it around that time as a mission that I want to show, I want to inspire, I want to pave the road and
Right.
become a pioneer of showing women that yes, we can do it. And I'm very proud that in January 1991, I finally broke that gender barrier and indeed became the first woman to earn the men's grandmaster title by ratings and norms. And I'm glad to say that today there are a few dozen women already following my example. And now women, of course, no longer doubt whether they can be a GM. The next level of the doubt is if they can become a world champion. But I believe they can. It's obviously a very hard road, as it is for men. But the first step is in believing in it and aiming for it. Because without that, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Just like becoming a GM in my example.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And that's one of the questions that I have in the questionnaire. You already answer it. So let's scratch that out of the questionnaire. But let me ask you a little bit more about that. You believe that a woman could be general world champion. Do you believe that you will see it before you passed on or move out into another life before you go on? Will you believe that you'll be able to see a woman there, or is it still difficult?
I very much believe so, that it's possible. Whether it will happen in my lifetime or not,
Right.
that's obviously another question. Partly depends how long I'm going to live as well. But yeah, it's very, very tough, you know, because it's a long journey. It's a very demanding journey. And of course, we're still dealing with the fact that there is a lot less women playing chess. So obviously, if you have only 10% of all chess players who are women, or 15%, whatever that number is, it's much more likely that the 85 or 90% of the people who play chess, one of those will become the champion.
Right.
Just simple
Statistically,
statistics,
yeah.
you know. So that's the first problem, and in fact that's how the Susan POLGAR Foundation came about, in trying to improve that, because in my days and even in the early 2000s, when I was already living in the United States, and the United States Chess Federation reached out to me to help, because they had less than 1% of their members being female. Less than 1%.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You know, so today we managed to raise that to maybe 10 to 15%, you know. But even 15% is far from 50%.
Of course,
You know?
it is.
So that's part of the problem. And the other problems are, of course, also the fact that within the chess community, there is still not an equal treatment to women in various ways, you know, in the encouragement, in the, you know, support system as such, you know. Women girls, when they start playing, and even later on when they become pretty good, generally are encouraged. I hope you'll become a women's world champion.
Right.
And the girls hear it enough times, they believe it, that that's what should be their goal. And sadly, even today, most even talented and successful girls set as their goal to become the women's world champion because they just, their environment doesn't imply that they could possibly be the best player overall. And as I mentioned earlier, that's a great big part of the problem, that women, most of them, very, very few exceptions, don't even dream to be the best player in the world or world champion. They simply don't even set that goal.
Wow.
And that's where the main problem lies.
Okay, if you were given, let's imagine for a moment, if you were given, Susan, you are at this moment FIDE president. What would you do as a FIDE president to help that cause?
Well, obviously the FIDE president has some opportunities,
right.
Like for example, the current FIDE president actually has raised significantly the prizes for women world championships. So they are going definitely in the right direction, I think. But ultimately, it's more, I think, of an issue of each girl's environment. It's more the local chess community, at clubs, at tournaments, in the family itself,
right.
to not set any boundaries, to treat girls equally to the boys when it comes to their potential. And I'm sure some people genuinely don't believe that it's possible. Just like in my days, a lot of the people that were disbelievers that I can ever become an IM or GM.
Right.
They really believed that. It's not like necessarily that they didn't like me. It's just they really believed it. And I think it's the same today with the world champions title for a woman. And so I think it really is almost more important in the immediate surrounding of the person. And I think the other issue, of course, for kind of teenage girls or women later, that women have to deal with a lot of unwanted advances,
right.
from in the chess community by men. So I think that's something obviously FIDE or the FIDE president can advocate more, and the ones who are the bad apples in the chess community, call those out, punish those, and make an example out of those, perhaps even more than they have been doing. Because that's another issue that kind of makes a lot of girls just give up on chess altogether and not stay in chess.
Yeah, do you believe that the Netflix Queen's Gambit thing was a very good start?
I think so. I think it really helped popularize the game. It made chess cool again, and I think it encouraged a lot of girls also to start to play chess. I think it has been an amazing, lucky coincidence that happened.
Are you officially retired, Susan, as a chess player?
Yes. I have retired as the director of the Susan POLGAR Institute for Chess Excellence actually more than 4 years ago. But of course, while I'm formally retired, I keep working on various projects like I did in the past 3 years on my book. I am working currently on some other books as well. As you perhaps know, I have a book series called Learn Chess the Right Way.
Yes.
It has 5 books out. I'm working on book 6 right now. Also, I'm having thoughts of other books as well, both technical chess books as well as another book that's not that closely related to chess, again for the mainstream audience. But I'm sure that one will take years again before it comes out. While book 6 in the series, I hope will come out by next year.
I see. So, for example, if the St. Louis club invite you to a Fisher random tournament like Gary Kasparov, would you accept that?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. With that note, I'd like to mention that I'm very fortunate that I was very good friends at some point with Bobby Fischer, and I helped him finalize actually the rules of Fischer Random back in the early mid 1990s when he first moved to Budapest through my encouragement. We used to play a lot of shuffle chess, which is an early form of Fischer Random. Basically, same idea that there are the eight pawns on each side on the second rank.
Right.
However, no pieces on the back rank, and that's how we initially used to play. And in fact, the first 8 moves of the game were to set pieces up one by one, alternating moves.
Oh, I see.
And basically, only after that, once all the 16 remaining pieces are on the board, that's when we start moving the traditional way. With that said, our initial games had no restrictions. First of all, there was no symmetry between the pieces.
Right.
We could set them up in any order we want. We did not have the right to castle. The bishops did not have to be necessarily on the same opposite color squares. So we had those 3 distinctions compared to today.
Oh,
and
see.
After countless games and experimentation and discussions, it was when Bobby and I agreed that this is good enough. And that happened after Bobby reached out some mathematicians who confirmed to him that even with these restrictions which we play with today, there are about 960 possible starting positions, hence the alternate name,
The
Chess
name.
960.
Right.
And here we go today.
Wow, I believe we broke news here. You were part of the founding member of Fisher Random. So wow, that's
Yeah, and I write in a lot more detail about this in Rebel Queen, as well as in the appendix at the very end of the book. I even share 2 of the many games we had, 2 positions, not full games, but just 2 examples. One from the shuffle chess era and one in already the chess 960.
right. In the normal chess position, and the one that we all know about in history, do you still feel strong on that game, on that position? Do you still feel like you are 2500?
I don't know, probably. I don't know. It's interesting you might ask that because when in 1996 I won the Classical World Championship and completed a Triple Crown.
Right.
After winning the Blitz and Rapid earlier. Basically, I did not get a fair chance to defend my title. FIDE was unwilling to delay the match even after they were late by over a year in organizing the match timely, the defense match. And I have not played after that a rated game all the way until basically for almost 8 years.
Wow.
And everybody thought that, okay, not playing 8 years, probably I became rusty and gonna play inferior chess. And interestingly enough, at the 2004 Olympiad in Calgary, I actually performed one of my best ever performances. And not only that, I helped the US team win silver, but I won additional 2 gold medals individually as well.
I remember that.
So, yeah, so you never know.
I remember that.
Sometimes I toy with the idea to making a comeback again. But
that's not a very easy decision to make. You know, I'm coming back, like if you were Muhammad Ali. You know, hey, I'm back. No, but I know the difficult part, the sporting part of the chess, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of efforts. And
yeah, back then it was 8 years. Now it would be more than 20. So also I'm not getting any younger. So
yeah, when all the broadcasters asked you to comment in the game, that could be very a tough order for you to sit down and they have a board there, and then you have to calculate with people that are active chess players. So that could be a very tall order.
I don't think I have a problem with that. I think I am still reasonably sharp, and my understanding, I think, is still there.
Right.
It's partly because I have been coaching, at SPICE, top-level grandmasters such as Wesley So or Ray Robson or others.
Right.
And so, I've been in training in that sense as a coach.
Okay.
And so it's not like I haven't touched a chess piece in 20 years. But of course, it's still different to talk about it, to analyze, to coach, to research, write books versus play. Because I keep telling people, that playing chess is a lot more than the technical knowledge. And those, extra things, such as having the stamina, having the drive, having the motivation, manage your time, having self-confidence, and the list goes on and on. They are almost 50% of the equation to actually become a successful player.
Right.
So while I may have still the skills and a lot of the knowledge, I may be lacking, let's say, by stamina or motivation because of my age and where I'm at in my life right now.
Mm-hmm. You're a mother. Do any of your kids play?
Yeah, actually my elder son, Tom, he's a chess master. He has won actually numerous scholastic national championships here in the US when he was younger. With that said, he's inactive while he plays regularly online for fun. He has not competed in several years now. He's a professional and doesn't have much time for chess and other hobbies mostly.
I clearly understand that part. I'm a father myself, and I have my doubts that I'm gonna give chess to my kids. Oh, they know for recreational purposes, but not for like a hobby, unless they have a great talent. Is it easier for you to spot talent in a kid?
Well, talent in itself, it's a debatable word, because how do you define talent? And as you perhaps know, which I write in detail again in Rebel Queen, my father believes that really success is 99% hard work and 1% talent, basically.
Wow.
And, I definitely believe that the hard work and consistent work and long-term dedication and, of course, passion to what you do, and whether chess or anything else, is a lot more important than talent itself.
The talent itself.
Of course, when you match the talent with the willingness and desire of hard work and to succeed, that's when you get the players like Garry Kasparov or Magnus Carlsen.
I've seen many people who either or are talented, but they don't have the drive to succeed. And I've seen other people as well that are very hardworking, but they always hit a plateau and they don't go forward. So it's a difficult balance to make it happen, to be successful.
It definitely is, but I really believe that I did not have any special talent for chess. I think it was a matter of countless hours of practice since I was 4 years old. And I really think that even if I look at within my family and my sisters, who are much younger than I am, but I know my father always was saying that if there is such a thing as talent, it was actually Sophia who had the most talent, who ultimately became the least accomplished, while still accomplished, obviously. She had the famous sack of Rome, beating all the Soviet GMs and so on, and also helped us win Olympic gold medals and so on. But with that said, we always thought that she had the most talent.
Wow.
In general, she's a very talented person. In whatever we started to do, the three of us at the same time, she would excel initially. And
Right.
that's generally my definition of traditional sense talent, right? That you kind of pick things up quicker and easier than others. So when it comes to that, it was definitely Sophia that would be the most talented one. And yet both Judith and I took further when it came to chess. And so therefore I kind of define talent a bit differently, because there may be a talent for a particular
Field.
Subject, whether chess or something else. But there is also, I think it's kind of a talent to have kind of the desire and the drive and the willingness to sit day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and dedicate yourself to one thing to excel. Because that's what most people lack. Most people at some point either get bored of it, they don't get the opportunity perhaps because life, comes in between, or when they don't succeed quickly enough, they get discouraged and they give up.
Do you ever get the feeling of, I don't want to know anything about chess anymore? I had it with chess. Did that happen to you?
No. It happened a couple times in my life when I was treated super unfairly, especially towards the end of 1986.
Right.
When two things happened around the same time. The first one, that after I qualified to the zonal championship from the national championship in the men's world championship cycle, I was told I cannot play due to my gender. And then shortly thereafter, FIDE decided to give 100 free rating points to all women, basically, but myself. And I was just, beyond myself. And that was kind of really the only time when I felt that maybe it's not worth it all.
Right. Yeah, I read about it. I didn't want to ask you, but now that you mention it, that probably was a very difficult point, a very low point. Very low.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest moments, definitely, in my life.
Wow. Aside to that, have you ever had a really bad tournament that you play?
Yeah, sure. I am no different than anybody else, perhaps less than some others, but one of the most painful losses which was really a tie, not a loss, but after winning the candidates tournament in 1992 in China, as you mentioned in the introduction, and which I won with 3.5 points ahead of second place. But the regulations said that the winner and the second place finisher still need to play a match for the right to challenge the world champion.
Right.
And so I had to play a match with Nana Yosiliani. And, I was the clear favorite. I won the first 2 games of an 8-game match, so everything seemed to go according to plan. And even then, I was leading 3.5 to 1.5 after 5 games.
Right.
It seemed a formality. And it just tells you that the match is never over until it's over. And thanks to various circumstances, which I write about in the book, she ended up tying the match 4-4. And then we had a couple of playoff games. Long story short, it still ended up in a tie. She never led in the match at any point.
Right.
She only equalized every time. And then at the end of the story, it was basically decided by a matter of luck. We were given 2 closed boxes of medals, gold and a silver. And whoever picks the gold
will go on.
Would go on. And unfortunately, I picked the silver, and therefore I did not get the right at that time to challenge the world champion. So that was an extremely painful moment in my career, which obviously I still recall vividly to this day.
But you learn from it, right? Matches
I
is
did, and
different
then
than a
I
tournament.
came back the next cycle, and I proved myself, and that's some of the stories in the book, that's just how life is. Life
Right.
is not a walk in the park. You have ups and downs, and it's not how many times you fall, but it's how many times you stand up and fight again and go for it.
Right. Do you believe that country that there are countries that play different than others?
Yes, definitely. I think some legends in various countries certainly influence the next generations of players. And there are certain styles, I would say. Obviously, it's hard to generalize,
Right.
but let's say Bulgarians are known more to be more aggressive and wilder players like Topalov,
Right.
right? Or Cubans often follow Capablanca style, more strategical. So it's a little bit, but obviously it's hard to quite generalize in that sense, because I think styles are influenced more by the individual's
Yeah.
personalities.
I see. Um, how do you think the U.S. is doing right now? In the sense of, is it in a good position because Fabi and Naga and all these people, or is it stagnant? Chess is stagnant in the United States. What do you believe?
Well, I think in general it's in one of the best times it has ever been, in many ways, because there is a great benefactor in the sync fields.
Same World Cup.
Yeah, not just the cup, but they have a whole operation of the chess club and the Hall of Fame and the museum. It's
Right.
like a full operation, and they support in grand scale top chess players. So in that sense, there is a lot more opportunities, I think, for chess players in America today. Also, it's less risky than it has been, let's say, in Bobby Fischer's days.
Right.
Because then, unless you were a top chess player as he was, it was very, very hard to make a living. Today, there is a backup plan. Even if you don't become a very top chess player, there are many opportunities to make a good living in chess in America, whether you want to teach or have your stream or do commentating or write books or a combination of the above. And I think that's very encouraging for a lot of young talent, and we have seen already a generation of young, mostly American Asian,
Right.
Asian American chess players, from the Ray Robsons to the Jeffrey Zhang and many others, that grew up and became great players. And I see when I go to national championships here that there is a new crop coming up of young
The
and
younger
talented
players, yes.
players. So I think in general the potential is great, and obviously it takes a lot of dedication and sacrifice from the parents
Yeah.
as well, especially until the child gets to a higher level. But I see a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, and I think as a side benefits of COVID, which obviously was very difficult and sad times, but
Right.
as a side benefit of it was that kids had very little opportunities of what to do, and I've seen a lot of young chess kids who learned chess during COVID.
Right. So it
And
picked
some
up.
of those kids are top players in their age groups today. I think there was a larger group of kids starting playing in 2020 2021
Right.
than years before.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. Do you still have a club like the one that you had in Queens, which I visited?
No, I don't. When I left New York, that closed down a couple of years after that. But obviously, I have the institute,
Right.
SPICE, that still bears my name, and I'm director emeritus of it. So I'm still advising. In fact, next week we'll hold there the 22nd annual Susan POLGAR Foundation Girls Invitational, which is a elite event in America. But
Wow.
I don't have that chess school that I used to have in New York anymore.
Right. Yeah, I remember I visited. You weren't there when I visited, but I remember seeing a gentleman there, a very classy guy, gentleman with gray hair, but he has an issue with an eye or something. He was very pleasant. He was very nice, very pleasant, and I remember vividly that he told me stories, and I played for a while. I was visiting New York, and I said, let me go to your club there, and he was very nice and treated me very well. So I can tell you that.
Probably Tom. Yeah, I was very fortunate. I had some very nice people. Actually, most of them volunteered to keep the club open full time, so it was really nice.
Now the Susan POLGAR Institute. How that came about? Did you came up with the idea? They contacted you. Let's do this, and maintain it for so long.
Well, actually, what happened was in 2005, I believe. So after the big success that we had with the Women's Olympiad program and the team in Halvia, I was invited to numerous events around the country, and one of those were in Lubbock, Texas. And I gave a lecture and a simul, and apparently I made an impression on the university at Texas Tech.
Right.
And then about a year later or so, they came back and they have an idea. They have a vision that what if I would establish an institute at their university. So the talks went back and forth. Long story short, SPICE was born there in 2007. And we were indeed there for 5 years until there was a change in the administration that resulted in us eventually looking for a new home. And we went to Webster University, where the institute is still housed as of today.
Wow. Amazing and entrepreneurship, and I commend you for it. And I remember the tournaments, and I keep reading about it, and my hat off to you. That's very nice. In that level of chess, when you are like 2,500 and something, is there any outside or external like a psychological warfare happen in that level of chess, like a normal 1900 player that wouldn't know? So do you believe like there are like psychological warfare going on when you get to the top that affects play?
I think very much so. Yeah, I think once you become a professional player, psychology plays a huge role. I think in top level competition,
Right.
confidence, the direct dynamic with your opponent that you probably played many times before. There is a lot of psychology involved that I think top players think about a lot and work on as well to make sure they can be in the best state of mind.
Right. So for example, if another opponent want to shake your hand at the beginning of the game, like a normal shake hand to start the game, but that person shaking you is a hard shake. Does that affect you?
It sends a message, I would say, like a stronger handshake.
Right.
You know, it may show self-confidence. Sure, sure. Any little thing, and it's a combination of little things. And, you know, you mentioned, you know, the difference between, say, an average player, a 1900 player versus a GM. The big difference is, I think, that as a 1900, you go to an open tournament, you may play a random guy you've never seen before and may or may not see again.
Right.
While the top players, generally, they play a lot of the same opponents. So they develop a dynamic, they develop a history
Yes.
one end of the chessboard. And I think that makes it different.
Yeah, it does. It does make a difference. My goodness. Have you ever had a nemesis? Like you are difficult to beat that person, or at least you draw the person playing, but you never won it.
Yeah, I think everybody does. I remember back when I was around my peak and he wasn't yet, like Vishy Anand, for example.
Ooh.
I really had a tough time against him, while a tougher time than other people similarly rated at the time, for example.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I think it's definitely a matter of that personal dynamic as well as style, of course.
Right, the style of play and everything. I see. I'm sure that every time you see Vichy, that conversation comes about. I want to beat you next
Really,
time.
actually. Not really. We were always good friends. In fact, Vichy stayed at our house at some point in Budapest. We were always good friends. So I actually been pretty fortunate with that I was able to separate friendships versus
The game
playing.
itself, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any of your contemporaries still playing?
Yeah, of course. I think Boris Gelfand still plays, and Ivanchuk, of course, is still playing and winning tournaments as well here and there. Yeah, for sure.
I'm proud of keeping playing, huh? There are people, they really love the game, don't they?
Yeah, and they love the drama of it and the whole environment of it. You know?
Yeah. Susan, I have a list of questions that I have saved that I keep there because I like the questions. Simple ones, but very straightforward questions. And I want to ask you some of them. I have more than 10 here, so I want to handpick them.
Okay.
And so, are you ready for the questionnaire?
Yes.
Okay, so if a father or mother asks you, why should I teach my kid chess? What would you tell that person?
I think chess is more than a game. Chess teaches you a lot of very valuable and important life skills, such as developing patience, focus, concentration, analytical skills, and problem solving. So regardless if your child really becomes passionate about the game and wants to become a professional player,
Right.
even if the child only plays for a couple of years and develops these important life skills, I think it's already a win-win. And then, of course, have a hobby for perhaps the rest of his or her life. There's nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Great answer. I agree with you 100%. Do you believe that chess is more either a logical type of game or intuitive type of game?
It's definitely the combination of both. I think both are quite important. Maybe the logic and the calculation a bit more important, because without it, it doesn't matter how good intuition you have. But with that said, it's all needed.
Right. When you were playing, will you notate the game in a descriptive type of notation or algebraic notation?
Always algebraic.
Always.
I knew how to read. I know how to read the other one, but by my time, in Europe at least, it was not very popular.
I see. Where is your favorite place to play chess?
wherever I win.
Yes, that's a great answer. Whatever.
No, it doesn't particularly matter. I know I enjoyed a lot always playing in Spain. I've played there many tournaments. I have a lot of very pleasant memories connected to Spain, such as making two of my GM norms, including the final one, such as becoming a world champion in 1996, of course with a comeback in Calgary 2004. So for whatever reason, Spain was good to me, and I certainly enjoyed always playing there.
Very nice, very nice. Has chess made you cry, and what was the last time?
Chess made me cry. Well, I have not played in a long time, basically. Well, I write about it in the book, actually. So I let you read it. It happened when I was a coach already.
Right.
Probably about, I think around 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. Have you ever resigned by error?
No. Unlike some others who may resign prematurely, I rather play a few extra moves.
Right.
As long as I think there is even the slightest chance to make a comeback, I don't resign. I don't see any benefit of resigning. I always had the philosophy that nobody ever saved a resigned game. They have saved seemingly lost games.
Right.
But to resign, that's it. It's final.
I see.
So I did save a decent number of games where others may have resigned already. And that taught me that why not? And in fact, I learned it the hard way because I had a good number of winning games that I thought, okay, why doesn't he resign already? And then he showed me why.
I see. Yeah. Great quote. What is the best time control to play the game?
Oh, that's a hard question. You know, I think in our society, everything is becoming faster and faster, and we just have to adjust to it and accept it. I've been always trying to be flexible, and I'm proud to say that I've won in all different time controls and the Triple Crown. It's really up to the sponsors and the organizers what the time control will be. It all has its advantages and drawbacks, but I think from the perspective of spectators or the fans, the faster time controls are more in line with the potential to grow as a sport.
Right, I agree with you. Have you ever looked yourself in the mirror and asked the question, was I born for this game, or I really work hard at it?
As we mentioned earlier about talent and such, I don't know, I fell into it accidentally, completely accidentally, so I'm lucky, I feel fortunate and lucky that I did, but I think I could have perhaps done other things as well.
Right, I agree. Okay, last question. If heaven exists and God or Peter, Saint Peter, is the gatekeeper and asks you, Susan, you want to come to heaven? Give me your best chess game. What game would you give him?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm really feel very good about my game with Maya Chibudanidze from the Calgary Olympiad in 2004.
I think I read about it. You mentioned it. I wanted to ask you, because this is not the first time you probably mentioned that's probably the best game you have played. And I watched that game. I believe I watched it live by that time. And it was very, I think you made I don't know if it was an error or something like that, or you mentioned it later. Oh, I should have played this to finish earlier or something.
Correct. Yes, yes. I mean, it was a beautiful combination, everything. And while already in a winning position with material advantage, I could
Right.
have did it quicker, make it even more perfect. But even with that little blemish, I think it's still one of my best games ever.
Well, if that is the game that you have to give Saint Peter to go to heaven, then you're welcome to heaven, Susan Polgar.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the last few minutes of the show for you to tell you whatever you want to say to either the people who have supported you, the people that follow you, the people that are along with you on the ride. What would you tell the people who follow chess, that love chess, that they see you as I see you as an example? What would you tell that people or this type of people?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody who supported me over the years. Sometimes jokingly, I say I even want to thank people who didn't and motivated me to prove them wrong. Of course, I'd like to thank my fans who were there encouraging me and supporting me over the years. And I'd like to, of course, thank the immediate people around me, my
Right.
family, my husband, my sisters, coaches, sparring partners. So it takes a lot of people for someone to really succeed. And, if you want to become a grandmaster or a top player, make sure, first of all, you have the passion for the game,
Right.
and understand that it takes many years in the making to get there. And there will be bumps along the road, and those will be the key moments, not to give up, but work even harder and prove yourself.
Right.
Good luck.
All right. Very nice. What is your schedule? What is your next tournament or that you organize? You're an organizer, right? What is the next schedule part? What do you want to do next?
Well, as I said, the next event is in St. Louis at Webster University at the Susan
Right.
POLGAR Institute for Chess Excellence. We're expecting about 70 girls there from all around the country. And we're looking forward to the 22nd edition of that national championship.
Right. Are you following the women Cairns Cup, right, in St. Louis?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Susan, it's been my absolute pleasure. I clearly wish you the best. As I mentioned
Thank you.
initially, you are a role model not only for girls, but also for guys too. I see you as an entrepreneur, as someone who likes to inspire people. And for that, I really appreciate it, and I thank you. And I thank you for your guidance and everything. Okay,
My
so
pleasure.
and for the people who have been here today, I really thank you for connecting. Just keep an eye on my schedule. I have other people coming in a week or two. So thank you very much for joining, Susan. I hope that you enjoy the weekend, and thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you for being in Chessmania. You guys take care. Bye, Susan.
Bye.